Totally great. So Jeet, we'll go in a more of question answers. So just if you can help us, like what is this paper modeling? The origin of this paper modeling.
Okay. So yeah, I've started my screen share. Can anyone confirm if it's fine now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
We
okay.
can see it, Jeet.
Okay, so yeah, so starting with the first question. So paper modeling or any kind of modeling is actually creating or designing a scaled down version of an actual object. It can be anything, a building, a car, a motorcycle, whatever that might interest you, and we can use any kind of material for that. It could be wood, plastic, or foam sheets or paper. So I have chosen paper, but yeah, we can build it through any other material as well. And if I want to talk about paper models, so I think every one of us would have at least built one paper model in our past. So if you remember your childhood days, you must have built a paper plane or a paper boat whenever it rained. So that is also what you call a paper model, and effectively that falls under the category of origami. So I'm also sure everyone would have heard the word origami. So it's a Japanese practice from where it originated, and it involves a single sheet of paper, and over there which where you can put multiple folds and create the object that you want, like be it a plane, a flower, or any kind of a frog shape. Anything can be possible through origami as well. So this is what I meant by origami. So it involves folding only, but it is just using a single paper and no cuts, nothing, no sort of gluing is involved in that. While if I come on paper modeling, so actually paper model, how different it is from origami is, it can involve multiple pieces of paper. We need to cut out the various patterns or shapes out of the paper. We need to make the folds and glue along the tabs as well. After that, we can build the basic blocks of the objects and then combine all the blocks together. Out of it, the final model can be completed. So the main thing that can be involved in that is, we need to imagine any kind of a 3D object as if how it would look if you folded it out on a flat sheet of paper, or how do you convert 3D into 2D. So if you see here, there's a cube here, and if you can imagine how a cube would look in 2 dimensions, this is how it is. So all the six faces are folded out, and if you cut it out of the paper, then you can rebuild from that flat shape into a 3D shape. So that's the basic idea of paper model. So this is a more simpler version of it, and we can talk about it in the further questions as well. Yeah.
That's great. That's great, Jeet, actually. But Jeet, I just want to understand, like, why only paper and why not any other material? Because we have plastics and so on. And
Hmm.
why you selected only the paper?
So, okay. So everyone is acquainted with paper. Maybe everyone in their school would have worked on those craft subjects where everyone would have certainly got a exposure to paper, and it's a very low cost material. It is readily available. It is flexible, and even if you make any mistakes while working on it, you can anyways get another version of it. So you can just keep on doing mistakes and then learn from it, and it allows that flexibility to you. And what else, not many tools are needed, so you just need the basic set of scissors, glue that is readily available at your home, and you can start on this hobby. So that's the main reason. And yeah, if you want to work with tool or wood or foam sheet and all, you need certain kind of expertise. You need past experience. But with paper, I don't think there's any such limitation. Even kids can do it under supervision of their parents. Still, anyone, I mean, even senior citizens. So there's no age limit on that as well. And if I talk about paper from which I use to create the models, it's not the usual paper that we get in our books or the printouts that we get from a shop. So I use a specific kind of paper which is cardstock, or it's a 250 GSM of paper that I use. So the GSM here means how thick the paper is. So if you want to compare, you can compare it with the paper that you get on a greeting card or a book cover. So that is the level of thickness that is required, so that it gives the required strength to your finished model. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I think it would be very interesting, Jeet, because while we look at these models available in the market, they are very colorful and so on. But while you are making it from the paper, I'm sure it is going to be very interesting while we learn more from you. Yeah. And then I further want to go. My other question is that how you got this into this different hobby, because as far as because I know you, you are like academically you have done your engineering, And then you had been associated with the IT industry from past many years, right? Currently, you are working with the Allstate also. So this is something very different than what you are into your current profession. So how did you get into this kind of an hobby, Jeet?
So actually, this was my childhood interest. So when I was small, as a little kid, I used to like anything that moved. So be it a car, a motorcycle, an aeroplane, whatever that moved, I was keen to follow that, learn more about that. And in a few of my friends, whenever I went to their homes, I saw a cabinet full of models of cars and many other vehicles. So that gave me an idea that instead of buying all such different models, why not make one myself? And at that time, paper was the, as I mentioned, right, it is readily available and anyone can start on that. So I thought, let's start with paper. That is how I started with it. So I just observed photos of various cars or motorcycles that we get in newspapers and magazines. I drew out the shapes on the paper sheets. I colored them myself. Then I started building those. So I can also show those some of those models. So yeah, this is what I had prepared or built when I was, let's say, 10 or 12 years old. And then I just graduated. So what I then learned when I was in engineering. So in engineering, there was a subject called engineering drawing, where they teach you about how an object looks from the top view, from the side, from the cross section. So applying those principles, I try to draw the pattern so that everything falls in scale. Because if the size, if you see here, this is the top view of a car. Okay, so if the size of the bonnet does not match with the size of the windscreen, then the alignment or the look of the paper model will not be as you expected. So using this engineering drawing, I was able to get the exact shape and the size to fit everything together. And using this plan, I cut out the patterns from the paper and then built this particular model that you see here. This is a Lamborghini car which I had prepared in my college days.
That's great, actually. Did if I would like to understand the process behind this creation of the model, and if we want to build any of our model of
Hmm.
our own interest, then how how that can be, we can proceed on that. Actually, if you can just help us to understand that.
Okay. So yeah, so if I want to simply put it, we need to imagine any 3D object, how it would appear in 2D, and then draw it on paper and then cut it out. So once you have those patterns ready, it's the if I want to put it simply, it's just cut, fold, paste, and assemble, and then you have one basic block of the model. And depending on how complex your model is, there will be 10 or hundreds or 1000 of such different basic blocks that you have built. You combine them all together and then you finish your model. So okay, let me move to the next slide. So if you see here, this is a pattern that is required to build the model that you see here. This is a pickup truck. It's a very simple model, and I mean a very very basic one. And if you see, all the corners and every surface is very flat because it's a simple one. But even for this simple one, this is a kind of a model or a pattern that we require to build that. And as you want to get into more complex models, so for example, if you see here, this is the real version of the same pickup truck, and the surfaces on the side or the bumpers that you see here, they are not flat, they are protruding or jutting out a bit. So that will again require a new piece that you have to build up out of paper, and then you attach it to the main body. So as and when you start creating more complex models, the number of pieces start to increase. And okay, let me also show you how it can. Let me begin with a simple object, maybe a geometric object. Okay, so let's say a cube. Okay, so cube is the most basic 3D object anyone can imagine, and this is how it would look if I folded it out on paper. So the process is you print this pattern on the paper, you cut this entire shape out of it, then you apply the fold. So if you see on the right hand side, this is the printed side of the paper, while on the left hand side, this is the non-printed side or the back side of that same cutout of from the paper. And as you apply the folds, as you see here, you will apply fold over here, over here, over here, all the six different fold lines that you have. Once you apply that and start folding, it will get converted into a cube shape, which is the final 3D object that you were looking after. And similarly, if I want to give an example of a basic cylinder, this is how the cylinder would look in flattened 2D form. And once you start the modeling of that, which is cut, fold, paste, this is the final cylinder, how it would look. So yeah, so you need to repeat this same process over and over. As your model starts to get more complex, you will have more pieces, and all of them will assemble together, and you will get your final model.
That's great. But is this something kind of a software which you are using to make this? Because I see some kind of a software here
Yeah.
also.
When I started out, as I mentioned, I was just creating those patterns out of hand. Then I started using this engineering drawing practices. Then I found out about this software. It's called Peppa Cura. It's a Japanese software which allows you to convert 3D objects into 2D objects. So what you need to do over here is you can import or you can design a 3D virtual 3D model, a CAD model, computer aided design model, and you import that model in this software. And that software will help you convert all the 3D elements of that particular object into flat 2D shapes. So if I show you here, so this is the 3D object that I designed and imported in the software. And once I click on unfold, it will give me all these different shapes that are required to be cut out and to be pasted together and assembled together to build this final car that we see here. And I can also show you how each thing relates with what you see in the 3D window. So if I click on the bonnet of the car over here, so it highlights this part in a red border. So from this I can get to know that okay, to build the bonnet, this is the piece I need to use. So once I import this, I have to segregate the entire model of the car into various components, into small sized parts which I can manage to build using paper. I split all the parts together, and then I proceed with the paper model building.
Okay, that's great. Okay. So this, what you are showing us, I mean, Jeet, like because you initially showed us some kind of a booklet also. So is this something that we have to buy it somewhere from online, or how do we get this actually? The what you are showing us on the Range Rover,
So the
model.
booklet that you saw will be an output of this software. So as you see here, after converting this 3D car into 2D shapes, I have got 5 different pages of flattened shapes. So I need to convert this into a PDF, and then I can get it printed at a print shop on the type of paper that I specified, right? The 250 GSM one. So with that, I can get all those set of pages. After which I can start the hands-on activity.
Okay, great. You have something which is handy, which people can refer, and get that, downloaded something, this kind of designs and so on.
Yeah, I do have a few basic, I mean, some simple models which anyone can start on. So I can share that as well. Okay, let me share that URL in this chat
Okay,
window.
sure, yeah, that would be great. Okay,
Okay.
that's great. I think this was quite interesting, Jit, actually, right? But Jit, also, initially you shared with us one video link also, which is available in your YouTube. So how do you make that? I mean, videos, because that's look quite fascinating, more attractive.
Okay, the video, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So for that video, I used a technique called stop motion animation. So it basically involves clicking a lot of photos, and as we know, right, any kind of video is just a collection of successive images, right? So all the frames that you saw of the entire thing get coming closer, getting glued, and forming a shape. Every frame of that video was an individual photo. So to shoot that video also, it took a lot of planning, because let's say if I want to show a process where 10 different pieces are coming together, getting glued, and forming a single piece, I need to make sure that at the start I need to take a photo. Then after part 1 and part 2 get glued together, I need to take one more photo. Same thing goes on, part 2 and part 3 are joined, I need to take a third photo. So I need to take a photo after everything is glued together, and if I miss even a single photo opportunity, then that part of the video will be skipped. So yeah, it needed a lot of sync up between building the model itself, which was quite hard, and also to plan when to take those photos and combine them together in a video.
Okay, great, great. So Jeet, by any chance, like in past, or do you see like there is a opportunity to commercialize this? Because I'm sure the Tata, Mahindras, and all, right? They would like to have this kind of paper modeling done for their sets of car also, right?
Yeah, so actually, there are many Indian companies as well, foreign car companies. They have hosted these kind of basic paper models, which anyone can download and they can build their on their own, which helps in the publicity of that automobile company as well. So yeah, I was in talks with a few of the Indian car companies where they would ask me to provide these kind of 2D patterns, which they can publish on their website so that people can build the models of their brand of cars. And I've also sold a few models which I have made myself. So up to I think I've sold around 10 different models to different clients, and I've also sold the 2D templates or the patterns that we saw, right, that come out of this software. I also sold those to some of the paper models who wanted to build it themselves. So yeah, these were
Mhm.
the things that I have done commercially so far.
Oh, that's fantastic, actually. That's great, Jeet. So, Jit, I mean, this is something, which I think while we pursue our passion and also, but I see like there is an opportunity to commercialize this also, right? And to, while you mentioned about talking to various clients, you sold your own, 2D templates and so on. That's quite interesting. I think people can take a benefit of their interest also.
Yeah.
That's great. And I think we touched upon, like this also enhance your, the creativity, your focus, and so on, right? So anything which you would like to share, like what kind of a lessons that you learned from, this kind of paper model, Ajit?
I think there are a lot of yeah, there are a lot of life lessons to learn out of this. One thing I can guarantee is this helps you focus a lot. I mean, while you're working on a paper model, all of your attention is focused on that single thing. No other thought will come up in your mind. It's almost like you are in a meditative state while you are in this process. And actually, I in one of the TED talks given by another fellow paper modeler, Atamjeet, he had talked about the 5 P's of paper modeling, which we can apply to our daily lives as well. I can quickly go through all of those. So, first of that is passion. I mean, the 5 P's are passion, practice, patience, precision and perfection. So, these are all the 5 life lessons that will help you go ahead in life as well, which you can inculcate using this hobby of paper modeling.
That's great, Jit, actually, yeah. Okay. I think, Jit, if you would like to show us some, the physical, some model which you might have developed at your house, on your own. So that would be great. We would like to see that while we saw on the
Yeah,
pictorial way. Do you have something to, share with us on the
sure.
screen?
Okay, so I've stopped my screen sharing. I hope you can see my video in a full screen format. Is it visible?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So I do have few models. So this was
Oh,
one.
wow,
This
that's
was the
great.
model that we saw in the video. This is a Yamaha motorcycle, and it was quite complicated. It took around 2 months to build, and it had close to 1,000 separate parts, which I had to assemble and build this model. And the wheels, the steering, everything is also functional in this
Wow,
one.
that's great, Jit. Super. This is amazing.
One more I have is
It looks quite real, Jit.
yeah,
I
thank you.
I can't imagine. I mean, it's something from the paper model you did this.
Yeah, and yeah, so the next one is again a model of a SUV. It's a Mahindra Thar.
Okay, okay.
This is something which I have designed myself using this software that we talked about. And again, this also has rotating wheels. You can play with it as if it were a diecast model as well. So
Oh,
in that way, it's quite realistic.
yeah, yeah. Super.
And this is the latest that I have built. This is the diesel locomotive from Indian
Okay,
Railways. Again, it also took quite a lot of
great.
time and it's quite
Okay,
detailed.
yeah. Amazing, Jit. Jeet. Actually, I'm quite now, looking forward to your workshop. Actually, whenever you are going to conduct, I'm sure I'm going to be the one of those participants for your workshop.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I
So,
hope this sparked at least a bit of interest in everyone who has joined, and maybe others as well, whoever will see the recording.
yeah, yeah, sure. So, like like me, like there will be many of us actually, or whoever will go to the YouTube channel, they might be and to like and want to get started with these paper models. So then, how can they start with that? Any plans, with your workshop and so on, or what do you suggest, Rajiv?
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to conducting some such workshops. Actually, I have done the same in my all state where I was working. So I did conduct a 2 hour session over there, which I got pretty good feedback as well. And in that workshop, the final outcome of that workshop was everyone had a small car in their hands. So hopefully, if I can go ahead as well, once more, we can definitely plan for that. And it's not that we need a lot of tools or very complicated tools for starting. Actually, I have come up with the list of things that we need. So these are the basic things that we need. The only main thing that we need over here is a 250 GSM paper, or any kind of paper which is a bit thicker than our normal paper that we usually see. Then it's just the cutter or a paper knife that we need, scissors, tweezers, because we need to work on many minute parts as well. So we need these kind of tweezers for that. The white glue that we have in our homes, Fevicol, and a cutting mat so that the surface on which you are working, it's not damaged by these blades. So yeah, these are the all the tools that I need to use. That's all.
Okay, okay. Anyway, these are like something like which is going can be used across many of your models which you can bring it, right? Except for
Yeah.
the new paper that you might have to buy it again, right? So that's a one-time kind of investment, I would say. But
Correct.
then
So
I
the
think
only
you can
thing that
pursue your
will
passion.
differ from each model is that you just need to get a set of new printouts on whatever model that you want to build. That's all.
Okay, great, great. This is fantastic. Jit. Okay, Jit, if nothing from you, then we might want to open it to the participant. If they have any questions, we can address to that.
Yeah, I'm open to questions. Yeah, definitely.
Any questions which you want to ask, Jit?
Yeah, I am Amit here. Am I audible?
Yes, Amit, I can hear you.
Yes, I have. By the way, brilliant presentation. It is something relatable for me because I used to do something similar when I was a young kid.
Okay,
So
great.
the question, yeah, that is something which, not to this level, obviously, not your level. So the questions which I have is that how much time does it take to make one such model on average
On
for
average,
you?
so see, I can
Like,
classify based on
yeah.
the complexity of the model. Okay, so let me go back to that basic one. So if you are looking for, let's say, this kind of model, so it will take a max of 1 day or 2 day, max to max. I don't think it will take much more than that.
When you
Then
say, sorry to interrupt. When you say 1 day and 2 day, it's like how many hours in a day?
okay, so let's if you are working, so maybe you will get 2 or 3 hours for your own, right? So I'm considering that. So okay, let me talk in hours then. So this particular model can be done in, let's say, 5 to 6 hours. I'm sure it would be complete by then. By anyone, I mean, even if someone is a beginner, it should be done in that
Oh,
much time. It's not that hard as it seems, because the final output will be such realistic looking that you will feel that it might take a lot of effort, but really it might not be there. But as you progress into more complex models, then the timeline can vary from, I'm talking, so if I spend 3 to 4 hours per day, so the medium level of models will take around 1 or 2 week for me, while the really complex one can go up to a month or even 2 months.
okay. I have a second question. Uh, so, what is the approximate cost of all the tools which you had just mentioned? The eight odd tools which you mentioned.
So the tools that I mentioned here, let me see. I think everything will most probably we'll get everything within 500 rupees, and the only recurring cost will be the cost of getting these printouts on these
Oh,
cardstock type of papers. So it's not that expensive. I assure you. I mean, the only recurring cost that you'll have is for the paper prints. That's all.
okay. And this is the last question I have. How do you get that scale information? I think I had seen 1 to 36 or something at one place. So
Okay.
how do you figure it out?
So you can do it either manually or using this software as well. So you saw this slider, right, where I talked about using the engineering drawing concept. So you need to calculate. So let's say the overall length of this car is 4,000 mm, 4 meters. So if I want to build a 1 is to 10 scale model, then I will have to reduce all the dimensions by 10. So the actual length of from point A to point B will be 400 mm. And similarly, I'll have to scale down all the other dimensions as well. And if you want to do
Thank
it
you.
through software, we have an option here itself where I can set a scale. So once I upload this model, I can set a scale that I want to build it in 1 is to 24, then it will automatically calculate all the dimensions and give out the size of the pattern accordingly.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your question.
Jeet, there are some questions in the chat also I see
Oh,
from
okay.
Udit, Rawal and Geeta.
Okay.
So Udit has asked like, how do you find the time for this hobby? Giving your long working hours.
I know. So see, as I mentioned, right, like I used to build this when I was a child or when I was in college. I had totally forgot about this hobby for quite a long time. Then during the lockdown, since we could not go out of homes, that is when I found a spark again. I thought since I have all this time, we are working from home anyways. There was a lot of spare time, so this is what encouraged me to get back into this. And since now I do have to go to office some days, but yeah, I still try to I try to manage whatever time that I can get. So for now, max, if I consider a working day, I can still spare 2 to 3 hours a day on this.
Oh, okay. That's great. One more question from Geeta is, what are other objects that are possible to make?
Yeah, so whatever that interests you actually, so you can build a building. So let's say if you want to build the what's Empire State Building, you can build that. There are a few examples that I have seen where you can construct animals as well out of a paper. So I have seen an example of lion that was built out of paper. So it's up to your imagination. You can think of whatever, and it can be done using paper as well.
Okay. Okay, there is one more question from Urvi Mehta on like one can learn with you in workshop. So, and is this online possible? I mean,
Yes, it is possible online. I mean, it would be best if this can be done in person, but because of the limitations of distance and all, it can be done online as well. And I have conducted such a workshop, and it was rather successful. So I don't see any limitation in that.
that's great. That's great. Okay, one more question
I
is
have,
there. Yeah, go ahead,
I
Amit.
have yeah, Jeet, is there any plan of you conducting a workshop in Ahmedabad? Because I'm based out of Ahmedabad.
Not yet, but I'll definitely plan. I'll definitely
Thank
plan.
you.
If we have the required numbers, I can definitely plan that.
What is your required numbers? Because I have quite
Maybe
a
a
few of
group
my
of
friends who are
10, group of 10 to start at least.
okay, fine.
That's great.
Or is there if somebody wants to be a part of this workshop on a monetary basis, is that possible? Or is this monetary basis you're talking about 10 people?
So yeah, I'm yet to decide on the commercials, but at least
Any
some
fee?
some part of that will be involved.
Okay, thank you.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. Okay, one more question on the chat, Jeet. I'm not sure about the person because he has joined through the mobile. Do we have such models in the form of games which can be gifted to the kids for making at home? I think that's a good question.
In form of what? Sorry, I did not understand.
See, basically, if you like, sometimes you gift someone, right, like a building blocks and so on, right? So that person is asking, like, do we have something available in the market, which you can just unbox it and then you can prepare it and you can give to someone. So
Yeah, so there will be some basic or simple kind of such booklets available which you can buy from market, and whoever the child is to whom you want to gift that, once he or she has a basic understanding of how to work around, then they can readily build. And maybe if the child is too small, they might require parental guidance so that while working with sharp objects. Other than that, if they follow the instructions given over there, it should be possible.
But I think they will definitely need this your workshop actually, because this is a very rare concept or the unique thing which we have learned from you. I don't think so in the market this is still available. The way we have the games from the I think Legos or someone that brand,
Huh.
those are very known games, right? That comes with like kind of a material and the instructions so on. But this paper modeling, I don't think so it is there
So yeah, for
still in the
paper
market.
modeling, you might find some kind of booklets in the market which will have all these different kind of patterns, put over in color over there, and you just need to start with the cut fold paste approach once you have that booklet.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Okay, I don't see any more questions, Jit. Anything further you want to share with us? Or any more questions
Yeah,
from
I
the
think
participants?
I'm good. I think I'm good from my side. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. In the chat window, we have put all the details. In fact, Jit's Instagram ID is also there. You might see, you might get chance to look at the more models that he has also showcased as part of this Instagram channel. So please go and look at that. I think Amit, I see one more question from you. Please go ahead.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
So you just told that you had sold this 10 models or something. So is there any, what is the approximate pricing or something in that case if somebody wants to buy it?
So
Or it varies?
it varies. Again, it varies. It depends on how complex the model is that they have asked for. So let's say the Mahindra Thar that I showed you, right? So
Yeah.
if I want to sell this based on the time and effort it took, it would be around 7,000, which I would have sold another model for. Similarly, the same price would go for this. But again, it all depends on the complexity. If something is more complex than this, so there were two F1 cars, Formula One cars that I sold to a DJ in Pune. So he paid
Okay.
me 15K for both of those models. So the example is here as well. Yeah, this is one of those F1 cars.
So a related question, do you do this work on commission?
Yes, that is what. Yep.
Okay. Thank
Oh,
you.
you just nailed it actually, Amit. You asked the right question actually.
And
That
actually,
anyone would like to ask.
what
Yeah.
happens over here is, I mean, the conversion ratio for this particular type of commissioned work is, let's say, 1:20. Like, if out of the 20 queries that I get, it's just one of the person who will actually come forward and go ahead with the order, because most of the people will just turn their backs looking at the price, but probably not everyone would realize how much effort and time goes behind building these. So yeah, because anyone can get a die-cast model at, let's say, 1/10 or 1/50th of the price. But since this is made out of paper, it's handmade, and it can be custom built as well. Like, if you want to create a exact model of your own car, let's say with the number plate, with any additional graphics that you have applied on your car, whatever that you want, you can replicate. If you want to replicate that same thing, that is also possible. So yeah, that is what it entails. That's why maybe many people find it expensive, but this is what goes behind all of those things.
So one more question, Jeet. So have you ever tried anything else other than automobiles?
Not yet.
Because one of
Not yet.
the reason I asked that is because one of my friends recently he had asked me about a model of something of if you've seen the Transformers movie.
Mm-hmm.
Transformers movie is basically automobiles which gets converted into those Autobots and all.
Mm-hmm.
So he had asked whether he can get a custom model for it, and he was willing to pay a good amount for it. So that's why I asked.
Yeah, it can be done. I mean, it will take a lot of time, but yeah, definitely possible.
No, that's great actually. In fact, Jeet, I think I see there are more opportunities down the line with the way the artificial intelligence metaverse. Like if you look at it today, the shops, right, the manufacturer, I mean the car makers and so on. While you visit their shop and you get the entire structure of the car and so on, right? But the
Hmm.
people who cannot visit the shop, right, they might want to see everything online, through their model, or while sitting at their home and so on. They would like to see like how this entire car is from the inside and so on. I think if you are creating this kind of paper model, if you have a tie up with those automobile shops, perhaps they might want to definitely leverage these kind of models. People can visit and can get this kind of they can buy it, and they can keep it at their house also.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's
like
definitely
there are a lot of
possible.
commercialization
Yeah.
opportunities, I think, with
I
this
mean,
kind
this
of
can
modeling.
be
I think
sold as merchandise as well. These kind of models. I mean, the car companies can
exactly.
sell as their merchandise.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's all. Ajit, I think one more comment, which is more for your, I think I would still like you should go to the next Shark Tank actually. Okay, this idea is definitely worth investment. Okay, so you might want to leverage this idea. It's a good
Yeah,
idea.
hopefully in the future, yes.
Great. Okay, Jit, I think thanks once again, for your time and sharing this entire story about the paper modeling. And I hope all the participants also would have enjoyed this session. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you once again. Thank you all for joining this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
bye.
you.